Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that, let's be honest, affects so many of us. You know that knot in your stomach when you walk into a party or that racing heart right before a meeting? It's that quiet fear of just being seen. We're going to dive right into the heart of social anxiety and look at a real path toward feeling more like yourself. We've been known to rehearse our food order before we get to the counter. I'm guessing for a lot of you, that one hits pretty close to home, right? It's those little moments, preparing for what seems like the simplest interaction in the world.
So, if that does sound familiar, just take a breath. It is not just you. This feeling, this whole way of thinking, it's an incredibly common part of being human. You are absolutely 100% not alone in this. Okay, so to get a handle on this feeling, we've got to understand it first. Let's pull back the curtain, give it a name, and really see what's going on underneath it all.
At its absolute core, this is what we're talking about. It's that deep, nagging fear of being put under a microscope. It's the worry that every time you're around people, you're being judged, and that you're going to somehow fail this invisible test. And this is so important to get. This is way more than just being shy. Shyness is a personality trait. Social anxiety, though, that's driven by a critical inner voice, one that's constantly whispering or even shouting that you are fundamentally flawed. And this, right here, might be the most important message we talk about today, straight from Dr. Ellen Hendrickson's work. Just let that sink in for a second. Even if that inner voice is screaming at you, telling you you're the one exception, the truth is, nothing is wrong with you. So if nothing's wrong with us, then what is going on? Well, it turns out it's biological. We're going to reframe this whole feeling not as some kind of character flaw, but as your brain just trying to do its job, maybe a little too well. Think about it. Our brains evolved to keep us safe from actual, real-life dangers, like, tigers hiding in the grass. Social anxiety is basically what happens when that same ancient, powerful alarm system starts seeing a conversation with your boss or a first date as a tiger. This slide breaks down that internal battle perfectly. On one side, you've got the amygdala, your super sensitive alarm just screaming, "Danger!" when you walk into a room. And on the other side, you have the prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain that's supposed to slam on the brakes and say, "Hey, relax, it's just a party." The problem is, sometimes its response is just a little too slow. But here's the really good news. We are not just stuck with this faulty alarm. The empowering truth is that we can actually learn to work with our brains. We can train ourselves to manage that internal critic and just turn down the volume. So let's give that anxious voice a name. The inner critic. This is the part of you that's like a professional fortune teller for disaster. It predicts you'll say something dumb, that everyone will laugh, that you'll be totally rejected. And just by naming it, we can start to see it as something separate from who we really are, something we can actually talk back to. And the approach here is basically a 1-2 punch. First, we learn to replace the critic's crazy predictions with logic and facts. Then, we learn to embrace ourselves with some kindness and self-compassion, becoming our own best friend in the process. Think of it this way. Replace is like having your own personal defense attorney in your head, cross-examining the inner critic. And embrace is like having your kindest friend giving you a hug and saying, "Hey, it's okay to feel scared. You've got this." Now, thinking differently is a huge first step, but the real magic, the real transformation, happens when we start doing things differently. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we prove to our brain that the things it's so afraid of, they aren't actually dangerous. This is all about something called neuroplasticity, which is just a fancy way of saying your brain can change. Every single time you face a small social fear instead of running from it, you are literally carving new, stronger pathways in your brain. You're teaching it through real experience that you are safe. To see how this works in real life, let's talk about the number 100, because that's the number of days that an entrepreneur named Jia Zhang decided to face his crippling fear of rejection head-on. So one of his challenges was to walk into a burger place and ask for a burger refill. Can you imagine? His inner critic was predicting total humiliation. But what really happened? The cashier was just confused. Nobody laughed, nobody pointed. The catastrophe he imagined never happened. And that is the powerful lesson here. Every time you take one small step into that discomfort, asking a question, starting a quick conversation, just showing up to the party, you chip away at that huge mountain of fear. And in that empty space, something new starts to grow. Real, genuine confidence. So, after all this work, challenging your thoughts, taking action, what's the end goal here? Is it to suddenly become the life of the party if you're a naturally quiet person? Nope, absolutely not. This is the whole heart of it. The goal is not a personality transplant. It's about freedom. It's the freedom to be your funny or quiet or nerdy or thoughtful self without that filter of anxiety holding you back and telling you you're not good enough. And if you still feel like you're the only one dealing with this, get this. Mahatma Gandhi, a man who literally moved millions of people with his words, he wrote about his own social anxiety. He didn't see it as a weakness, but as something that actually helped him grow and find his own truth. And really, that's the final message. This journey isn't about adding something that you're missing. It's about uncovering what's already there. Your truth, your worth, your unique self. You are already enough, right now, exactly as you are. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. If that voice of anxiety was just a little quieter, if you really had the freedom to just be you, what could you do? What would be possible? Thanks so much for joining us.